So this week we're going to be talking about Pythagorean Theorem, and this is by far one of the most famous theorems there is in mathematics. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. In Pythagorean Theorem, we're dealing with right triangles or right angles within the triangle. But if you've never seen a right angle, the way I can determine it is if I have a line that is going horizontal like that one and another line that's going, that's going straight up and down or vertical like that one. Those two sides are perpendicular to each other, so they create a 90-degree angle where they meet, also called a right angle. 90 degrees. Okay, now we're not always going to get easy little triangles like that. We'll also get upside down ones, but with the same concept I can go ahead and find that my right angle is going to be there. Okay, so now that we know where our right angle is, let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. Now with Pythagorean theorem, we deal with an equation, and the equation that we have to use is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And the most easiest way to label them on my right angle or my right triangle is by first finding the hypotenuse. So in my last example here, my third example, my right angle is going to be there. Okay? So if I'm trying to find the hypotenuse, the way I do it is I locate my 90-degree angle like I did here, and then I draw from the 90-degree angle, I draw a line that's going straight forward. And wherever that line or that arrow meets, that is my letter C, also called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Okay, and the hypotenuse will always be the longest side on my triangle. As you can tell, the word is actually really long. Okay, and the other two sides, let me go ahead and scroll up. The other two sides are my legs, and it doesn't really matter where you put the A and the B. I could have put it backwards where A is B and B is A, but it's the same thing. B and A are called the legs. Okay, so now we know how to find or label our triangles. So let's go ahead and get into some examples, because it's one thing to know the theory, but it's another thing to actually learn how to do it. So these are the steps that I have here to help me find or work out the problem. So if go ahead and take a minute and pause the video to write the steps down, and once you finish, go ahead and press play again. So I'm going to go ahead and follow my steps. Number 1 says determine if my triangle is a right angle. And if I use the same theory from earlier, this is going to be my right angle. Okay. Number 2 says find the hypotenuse. And once again, from my right angle, I draw a line straight across. Wherever that line meets, that is my hypotenuse, also called the letter C. Okay. Number 3 says determine what side the problem wants you to find. Well, we have two numbers. Where letter C, we don't have a number there, so I'm thinking they want us to find C. Okay. Number 4 says to use the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's go ahead and do it. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what number you use for what letter. So I'm going to use 3 for A. So 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared, because we don't know what C is. So if I square C, I get 3 times 3 is 9, plus 4 times 4 is 16, is equal to C squared. Okay. If I add 9 plus 16, I get a total of 25 equals C squared. Don't forget to bring that part down as well. Okay. Now, if I'm not done there, okay, because I need to isolate the letter C. At the moment, it has an exponent, so that's not really isolating it, okay? And in order for me to get rid of an exponent, I need to square it, or square root, okay? But if I do that to one side of the equation, I also need to do it to the other, okay? So I'm going to square both sides, and if I find the square root of 25, it's going to be 5. It's equal. So if I square an exponent, if I find the square root of an exponent, they cancel out, okay? So I'm just going to bring down a C. So my answer is going to be 5. The length of side C will be 5 units. Okay, let's go ahead and do another example. I'm going to leave my steps there. So step 1 again says determine if the triangle is a right triangle. Okay, so I'm looking at my triangle and I can see that I have a 90-degree angle there. Okay. Number 2 says find the hypotenuse. Well, how do I find the hypotenuse? The way I do it is I go ahead and I start from my 90-degree angle and I draw a line straight forward. Okay, and at this moment I have a number 10 there where my hypotenuse is. So I'm just going to label it there. C is equal to 10. Okay, and the letter 8 can be any letter you want, or the number 8 can be any letter you want. So I'm going to go ahead and label it B. Okay, so the other leg that we're missing is going to be A. So if I go back to my formula is A squared plus B is 8 squared is equal to C is 10 squared. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring down A squared. 8 times 8 is 64. 10 times 10, or 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, I need to isolate A by itself, put it by itself. So I'm going to subtract 64 to both sides, because whatever I do to one side of the equation, I need to do to the other. Okay, everything cancels out here. So let me go ahead and scroll up. You can see the other example now. Okay, 100 minus 64 is 36. And I bring down my A squared. So, excuse me. A squared is equal to 36. Now, like I said earlier, I can't have an A squared. I need to do what? I need to square root it, both sides. Okay. When I find the square root of A, it leaves it by itself. It gets rid of the exponent. So A is going to be 6. So the length of A in my problem will be 6. Okay. Now I have one more example. Excuse me. I have one more example. And I want you to try this on your own. Okay. Try this on your own. I'll give you the answer, but I want to see some work. Okay. The answer to this will be 5. So you can check your work. Okay. So good luck with trying it. And I hope this video helps. Thank you.